So find a comfortable seat on your mat. And if you feel like, I just realized I forgot my blanket, so I'm going to grab a couch cushion. If you feel like your tailbone is kind of tipping back, you can slip a blanket or a cushion underneath. We'll sit for a few minutes to kind of get centered. I'm going to turn this a little bit too. It feels crooked. There we go. Tried a little bit of a different position this time. I'm not sure how it's working. But all right, and if you need anything from me, just unmute yourself and I'll be able to hear you. All right, so we'll find that comfortable seat. You could sit cross-legged, or I have my legs in kind of easy pose with one foot in front of the other. If it feels more comfortable to sit on your knees, you can do that as well. Or if you want to extend your legs out, just really pay attention to how your knees feel. So we'll begin with rubbing the palms of our hands together, bringing focus and energy into the palms. And then take the fingertips and gently brush across the forehead, temples, and cheeks, brushing away any worries or expectations. And bring your fingertips to your eyes, palms to the cheeks, turning your attention inward. And take a couple of deep cleansing breaths. When you're ready, you can gently float your hands down to the legs, either keeping your eyes closed or gazing downward. Let your shoulders fall back and down, sitting bones sinking toward the earth. Lift your heart with each inhaling breath, gently sinking deeper toward the floor with each exhale. I'll ring the stinging bowl 3 times. You can slow your breath with the sound of the bell if that feels okay for you. Bringing your awareness to the breath, allow each inhale to bring you here, to this room, to this moment. With each exhale, release anything not needed for your practice today. Set an intention for your practice, something you'd like to nurture or cultivate within yourself. And with your next inhaling breath, allow the belly to soften and expand. As you exhale, draw the belly toward the back. Follow your body's rhythm, expanding on the inhale, contracting on the exhale. With your next inhaling breath, expand the belly and open the ribs, reaching them out to the sides. And as you exhale, contract the belly and relax the ribs. Follow your body's rhythm, expanding and opening, contracting and relaxing. With your next inhaling breath, expand the belly, open the ribs, and lift the chest, creating space for your heart. And as you exhale, contract, relax, and lower. Continue this full deep breath, expanding your lungs in all directions with each inhale, completely releasing the breath with each exhale. Take one more full, complete breath. And as you reach the end of your exhale, gently return to your natural breath, noticing any changes you feel in your mind or body. Remembering that our breath is always with us to help find those moments of peace and calm. Now bringing your awareness to your right hand, allow the tips of the thumb and pointer finger to come together. And bring those fingertips to your heart center, turning your attention deeper inward toward your heart, looking within for your inner light and your inner joy. As you find that connection with the light within you, allow its warm glow to flow on the breath throughout your entire body. As you find that connection with your inner joy, allow it to radiate up onto your face in a smile, and breathe it out into the space around you. As we continue our practice, allow your light and joy to flow through each breath and movement, honoring all that you are in each moment. When you're ready, you can float your hand down and gently open your eyes. If you'd like to switch your legs or change positions, go ahead and do that. Grab a sip of tea because I'm getting a little raspy. Then with your next inhaling breath, let's scrunch the shoulders up by our ears. And as you exhale, press the shoulders back and down. Inhale, lift and squeeze. Exhale, back and down. Once more, lift and squeeze. And back and down. Let's inhale the hands in front of the chest, palms facing down. Tuck the shoulders back and down and lift the heart. Gently squeezing those muscles around the shoulder blades, strengthening, lifting the heart. Then let's press the elbows back toward each other, lifting the heart a little more. Think about squeezing the center of the shoulder blades toward each other, wringing out any stress or tension. Vision gently up toward the sky, but keeping the neck nice and long. Then let's open the arms wide, turning the palms up. Lift the heart a little more if that feels okay, and gently tuck the corners, the lower corners of the shoulder blades toward each other. Breathe into the chest, gently opening, and if it feels okay, you can flex the wrists, pressing through the palms. Remember to keep breathing. Then we'll bring the arms in front, crossing the right arm over the left. We'll bend at the elbows, bringing the hands back to back, or wrapping the left hand around the right wrist. And if that is not comfortable, you can also bring the hands to the shoulders. Work on lifting the elbows up to shoulder height, and then pulling the elbows away from you. Breathing into the upper back. Noticing if your shoulders are up by your ears, gently drop them. Then we'll unwrap the arms, open wide, pressing through the palms. And we'll bring the arms in front again, this time crossing the left over the right, bending at the elbows, hands back to back, or right hand around the left wrist, or again, bringing the hands to the elbows. To the shoulders. Lift the elbows up to shoulder height, softening the shoulders away from the ears, and gently pull forward with the elbows as you breathe into the upper back. And we'll gently unwrap the arms, interlace the fingers, and press the palms out in front. Roll the shoulders forward, drop the chin around the spine. With your next inhale, lift the palms up over the head, vision follows, gently arching. Exhale, rounding, pressing through the palms, drawing the belly muscles back. Inhale, lift. Exhale, round. Inhale, lift. This time as you exhale, leave the palms up and gently drop the chin toward the chest just as far as feels okay. Softening the elbows, roll the shoulders back and gently squeeze the upper corners of the shoulder blades toward each other. Relax the back of the neck a little more if it feels okay and soften the jaw. And if it feels okay for your shoulders, you can begin pressing the palms up a little higher. But listen to your body. With your next inhale, lift your chin. And as you exhale, gently twist to the right and float your hands down, left hand on the right knee, right hand behind the right hip. Lift the heart and gently twist a little further. Hold and breathe, lifting with each inhale, twisting with the exhale. Noticing if your shoulders have scrunched up and allowing them to soften down the back. Keeping the left hand on the knee, with your next inhale, lift your right arm up by your ear. And as you exhale, reach across the body. Right hip drops toward the mat. Lift your heart and then reach the fingertips across the ceiling. Breathe into the right side of the body. And with your next inhale, lift up tall. And exhale, come back to the center. And we'll take a breath in and out. Let's interlace the fingers. Inhale, the arms up over the head. Exhale, twisting to the left And floating the hands down, right hand to the left knee, left hand behind the left hip. Inhale, lift the heart. Exhale, gently twisting a little more. Lifting the heart with each inhale, twisting gently with each exhale, being careful of the neck. Finding that edge between flexibility and inflexibility. Keeping the right hand on the knee. With your next inhale, lift the left arm up by your ear. And as you exhale, reach across the body. Left hip drops toward the mat. Lifting the heart, reach the fingertips across the ceiling. Breathing into the left side of the body. And with your next inhale, lift up tall. And exhale, come back to the center. Take a breath in and out. Then let's extend our legs out in front of us. And scoot our feet down kind of toward the end of the mat. Take off my socks here and my sweater. So we'll have our legs extended out and think about flexing your feet. If I can get the sweater off. All right, toes, we want them pointing upward. Sometimes they'll be out to the side or to the center. So try to have them pointing straight up as much as feels comfortable. Lifting the spine tall, shoulders are back and down. Your hands can rest on your legs or the floor. And we're going to think about engaging the quadriceps by drawing the kneecaps up. So gently strengthen these muscles through the legs, inner and outer quads. And you may notice your heels come a little bit off the floor. If it's hard to kind of isolate that, try doing it one leg and then the other to help you develop that connection with those muscles. And then if it feels okay, you can engage them a little more, making sure we're not locking the knees to lift the heels a little higher. And think about pressing away from the body with the heels and lengthening up through the crown of the head, letting the shoulders soften back and down. Your belly muscles are going to be helping you lift here. And with your next exhale, soften the legs. Inhale, lift the arms up over the head. And exhale, gently fold forward. You can bring the hands to the legs, to the floor, or the feet. And with your next inhale, think about lifting the heart, lengthening through the spine. And as you exhale, gently let the ribs come toward the thighs. Really listen to your body, honoring it where it is in this moment without judgment. Lengthening the spine with each inhale. Think about pressing the tailbone behind you as you tilt the pelvis forward. So it's kind of less about stretching the hamstrings and more about really getting some movement in the pelvis and also lengthening through the low back. With your next exhale, if it feels okay, sink a little deeper, really listen to your body. And with your next inhale, we'll lift the spine tall and we'll bring the hands a few inches behind the hips with the fingertips pointing toward the hips. So we have a couple of options here. Do what feels comfortable for you. You can keep the legs straight and lift the hips into inclined plane here. Or you can bend the knees, bringing the feet about hip width apart and lift into reverse table. So choose which position feels right for you today. And with your next inhale, lift the hips high, keeping those elbows slightly bent. Exhale, gently lower and try to hover over the floor a little if that feels okay. Keeping those arms bent so that you are strengthening those arm muscles. Mine are shaking right now. Inhale, gently lift. Exhale, hover. Inhale, lift. This time you can hold and breathe if that feels okay, or continue coming up and down. Again, we have a tendency to lock elbows here, so try to keep them a little soft. Lengthen the head out from the spine instead of dropping it on the shoulders. Press the hips up toward the sky. Take one more big breath. And with your exhale, gently lower down. We'll shake out those wrists. And then let's gently roll down onto our backs. Bringing the knees over the torso. You can gently pull the knees in and out, making small circles with your low back. If this does not feel good, you can just go from side to side instead of making circles. And then reverse the circles. Then coming back to the center, let's bring our arms out at shoulder height. You can have the palms facing down, or if you don't quite have enough space, you can also bend at the elbows, kind of making cactus pose or goal pose with your arms. Knees together, we're going to gently drop the knees to the right and turn our vision to the left. Think about softening the muscles around the hips and easing the spine into your twist. With your next inhale, use your belly muscles to help lift the knees back to the center. And as you exhale, gently lower to the left, vision to the right. Soften the muscles around the hips, easing the spine into the twist. With your next inhale, we'll come back to the center. And let's lower the feet to the mat, having them about hip width apart, and walking the feet as close toward the hips as feels comfortable. We'll bring our arms alongside the body, tucking the shoulders back and down, palms on the mat. Think about lifting your toes and spreading them wide as you lower them down, making one end of your bridge. Pressing the shoulders into the mat, making the other end of your bridge. Keeping those ends rooted down. Take a breath in and out. And with your next inhale, we're going to scoop the pelvis, gently squeezing the buttocks as you roll the spine up, one vertebrae at a time. And as you exhale, slowly roll the spine down. Inhale, scoop and lift, rolling the spine up. Exhale, gently lower, noticing the knees, keeping them parallel to each other. Inhale, scoop and lift. This time, if it feels okay, you can hold and breathe, keeping the hips up high, or if you'd like to continue coming up and down, go ahead and continue that with the breath. If you're holding, think about pressing back onto the shoulders a little more. You can stay here, or you can also roll the shoulders underneath, interlace the fingers, pressing the palms together, and you can walk those elbows in a little more if it feels okay, and then gently extend the arms out only as far as feels okay, really paying attention to the elbows. And we want to keep the wrists, the palms closer to each other so that we don't pinch the nerves in the wrist. Yeah, breathing into the heart, strengthening through the back as we open the front of the body. And then gently release the hands if you have them clasped, uncurl those shoulders, and gently roll the spine down. We'll take a breath in. And with your exhale, tuck the pelvis, pressing the low back into the mat, drawing the belly muscles down. Inhale, release. Exhale, tuck. Inhale, release. Exhale, tuck. Inhale, release. And let the breath go. Let's bring the right ankle over the left thigh. You can gently place your right hand on the thigh or knee, pressing the leg out to the side to open up the hip. Or if it feels okay, you could lift the left foot off of the floor, taking hold either behind the hamstrings or over the top of the shin, flexing the right foot as you draw the left knee toward the body just as far as feels okay. Lengthen the neck, shoulders tuck under, and gently send your breath to the right hip, releasing any worries or frustrations stuck in the hip, allowing them to float away on the breath. And we'll gently release that side, bringing the right foot to the mat, crossing the left ankle over the right thigh. Again, if it feels okay, you can gently press the left knee out or thigh out to the side. You can stay here, or if it feels okay, lifting the right foot off the floor, take hold behind the hamstrings or over the top of the shin. Gently flexing the left foot as you draw the right knee toward the body, just as far as feels okay. Lengthening the neck, shoulders tuck under. Send the breath to the left hip, releasing any anger or anxiety stuck in the hip, allowing it to float away on the breath. And with your next exhale, gently release. We'll bring both knees over the torso, hugging them into Apanasana, breathing into the belly. And from here, you can either roll to your side, pressing up with your hands, or slip your hands behind your knees, kick your feet over your head, and gently rock up. Then we'll come onto our hands and knees. If you would like a little extra padding under your knees, you can add a blanket under there. Being on the carpet and a couple of mats, I don't need that today. Usually at the studio I do. So we'll bring our hands under the shoulders, knees under the hips. Soften the elbows so the inner elbows are facing each other. Head extended out from the spine. Tuck the shoulder blades back and down and draw the belly muscles up into a strong table pose. Take a breath in and out. With your next inhale, lift the tailbone, drop the spine, lift the chin. Exhale, tuck the tailbone, round the spine, drop the chin. Inhale, lifting, spine follows. Exhale, rounding. Follow your breath, strengthening the back on the inhale, releasing on the exhale. One more breath. And with your next inhale, come back to table pose, softening the elbows. For a minute, let's bring the knees together. I'm going to have you drop your right hip down gently, turning your vision toward your feet, kind of stretching those outer hips. Inhale back to the center. Exhale, dropping the left hip down, vision toward the feet. Just follow your breath. Dropping that hip down, stretching a little bit of that outer hip out. And then we'll gently come back to the center, bringing the knees underneath the hips again. And let's extend the right leg out behind us. Think about dropping the right hip down so the hips are parallel to the mat, flexing the right foot and reaching through the heel, engaging all the muscles of the leg. Soften those elbows. If it feels okay, you can lift the leg behind you a little higher, keeping the hip down as you engage the muscles through the back and the glutes. Lift the heart, and you can stay here, or if it feels okay, extend your left arm out. Notice your left hip and keep it stacked over the knee. Notice the right arm and keep the elbow slightly bent. And we'll float the hand down, draw the right knee in toward the chest, rounding the spine. And then let's step forward with that right foot, walking it forward so that the ankle is stacked underneath the knee. Can walk it out to the side a little bit too, if that feels okay. Sometimes we get it in too close, and so it's harder to balance. So it's nicer to have a little bit of a wider stance. Pressing into that right foot. If it feels okay, you can lift the torso up so your hands are on the knee. Otherwise, you can keep the hands on the mat. Think about pressing your right hip back, left hip forward, and softening through the front of the left hip. Shoulders are back and down, heart is lifted. If it feels okay, you can bring the hands to the heart, elbows out at cactus pose, or lifting the arms up over the head, gently arching. With your next exhale, float the hands down. And inhale, rocking that right hip back, lengthening through the front leg. Lengthen through the spine and think about pressing back with the right hip. If it feels okay, you could lift the toes, stretching down through the calf. We'll bring the foot back down and then bring that right leg back so the knee is underneath the hip. Take a breath in and out. Soften the elbows, head extends out. Let's reach back through the left leg, dropping that left hip slightly. Flexing the foot and reaching through the heel, engaging all the muscles of the leg. Lift the heart. If it feels okay, lift the leg a little higher, keeping the right hip stacked over the knee. And again, if it feels okay, extend the right arm out. Left elbow is slightly bent. Remember to keep breathing. And we'll lower the right hand, draw the knee in, rounding the spine. And then we'll walk that left foot forward. Again, bringing it so the ankle is stacked under the knee as we move into a lunge. And you can walk the foot a little bit out to the side again for a little more balance. Think about pressing the left hip back, right hip forward. You can keep the hands here or bring the hands to the knee. Softening through the front of the right hip. Shoulders are back and down, heart is lifted. Think about pressing actively into that front foot as you release through the front of the hip. You can keep the hands on the knees or bring the hands to the heart. Again, elbows out or arms up over the head, gently arching. Then floating the hands down, rock back with the left hip. Think about lengthening through the spine, pressing back through the hip. And then rolling up onto the heel, if that feels okay. Feeling that stretch go all the way down through the calf. Then coming back to the foot, we'll bring the left leg back, coming onto our hands and knees and tucking the toes under. Soften the elbows as you press the hips up and back into downward dog. Lengthening through the spine, soften the knees to ease any strain in the hamstrings or low back. Let the head fall between the arms with the chin gently away from the chest. Think about letting the heels float toward the floor. And then as it feels okay, you can extend the legs. But if you feel like your back is rounding or you feel strain in the low back or the hamstrings, keep those knees bent a little deeper. We really want to stretch the back and then add the legs as that feels okay. Take a couple more breaths here. And let's come back down to the knees. I'm going to have you shift your shoulders over your wrists, keeping those elbows soft. Tucking the toes under. Actually, I'm going to have you walk your feet up, your hands a couple more inches out, and then shift over. Forgot that little detail. So you're going to kind of drop the hips so that you're making a nice line from the back of the head to the knees. Elbows stay slightly bent, head is extended out. You can stay here in a modified plank or tuck the toes under and just lift the knees. We want to keep the rest of the spine where it was. Drawing the belly muscles up. So we want to make sure our back's not dipping like this or piked up. We want to find that middle ground. Take 2 more breaths. And then you can either tuck the elbows in and lower down or bring the knees down first and then lower down. We're going to bring the hands underneath the shoulders. Zip the legs together. Press the pelvic bone into the floor. And with your next inhale, lift the head and chest into a gentle cobra. Exhale, lower. Inhale, lift. Exhale, lower. Inhale, lift. Hold and breathe if that feels okay, or continue coming up and down. And if you'd like to, you can play around with lifting your hands off the floor. With your next exhale, gently lower down. And let's press the hips back to our heels into child's pose. So we have a few options here. You can have the knees together and bring the forehead to the mat or onto stacked fists. You can have the knees spread a little further apart. Kind of stretches the low back in a different way here. If it doesn't feel good for your knees to be down, you can keep the knees up and lower the upper body here into reclined puppy. So find whichever version you can be comfortable in for several breaths. Breathing into the spine, creating space between the vertebrae. Release the weight of the body to the earth. And let's roll the spine up, one vertebrae at a time. Head comes up last, shoulders up and back and down. Then we'll tuck the toes under, press the soles of the feet onto the floor, come into a forward bend. If your hands reach the floor, go ahead and place them there. You can grab a block or a book or something there as well, or you can place your hands on the shins or knees, depending on how your hamstrings are feeling today. So lengthening the spine from wherever you are, soften the knees, and think about letting the ribs come toward the thighs. Pressing into the feet, so we don't want to worry about straightening the legs, but press into the feet and think about lifting through your sitting bones. Again, it's that pelvic tilt that we did when we were sitting, doing the same position. Pushing into the floor, lengthening through the spine, lifting the sitting bones. With your next exhale, if it feels okay, fold over a little further. And with your next inhale, bend the knees a little deeper, sweep the arms out and up, palms together over the head. And exhale, bringing the hands to the heart. Take a breath in and out. And then let's find your mountain pose. We're going to bring our feet about hip width apart. Shoulders back and down. Belly is strong, knees are soft. And think about lifting your toes, spreading them wide as you lower them down. Rooting into the feet as you lift up through the crown of the head. And we'll work with tree pose. So we're going to shift our weight to the left leg and turn the right knee out to the side. You can make a little kickstand by bringing your heel to the leg and work on balance by lifting the toe here, if that feels okay. Oh, I forgot to tell you to find a focus spot for your gaze to engage that drishti, that focus that helps us balance when we're on the one foot. So you can keep the toes on the floor or gently practice lifting, or bring your foot to the calf, or if it feels okay, you could also bring your foot into the groin. Thinking about pressing the foot and the leg toward each other, but making sure you're not directly on the knee. When you find that steady place, bring your hands to the heart. You can stay here, or if it feels okay, you can grow your tree branches, palms together or apart. Lifting the heart, rooting through the leg, creating that nice sturdy trunk. Lifting the arms. And if you want to, you could play with adding a breeze by moving those arms, reminding us that we can stay rooted in the chaos that swirls around us. And then sometimes we tip over, which is fine, and we just catch ourselves and we can start over. Let's find our balance again on both feet, and we'll work on the other side with our balance. Spine tall, shoulders back and down, belly strong, knees soft. Lift the toes, spread them wide as you lower them down. Shifting the weight to the right leg, we'll turn the left knee out to the side. Again, finding your focus spot for your gaze. You can keep the toes down, work on balance by lifting the toes, bring the foot to the calf or into the groin. Pushing the foot and the leg against each other if you're in the groin. Finding that steady place wherever that is for you, bring the hands to the heart. And if it feels okay, you can grow those branches up tall, palms together or apart. Rooting through that leg, lifting up through the crown of the head. And then again, if it feels okay, you can play around with adding a little breeze, a little movement of those arms. And then bringing the hands back to the heart, lowering the foot down, and let's shake out those legs. And let's spread our legs wide. My mat's moving on the carpet a little. So we'll come, have the right foot at the short end of your mat and step back with your left leg. We'll have our hips facing the long end of the mat. We're going to work with Warrior 2, Virabhadrasana 2. So we'll inhale the arms out at shoulder height, tucking the shoulder blades. And as you exhale, bend that right leg, making sure the knee is stacked over the ankle. And if it feels like it's going past, you can walk the toes out a little more and then lower down. Turn your vision over your right arm. Lift the heart, soften the shoulders, and think about pushing your feet into the floor, connecting down through your mat to the floor, to the earth. Drawing up whatever you need from the earth in this moment. Might be strength, courage, patience, energy, whatever you need. Draw it in with your breath, pulling it up through your legs into your heart. Filling your heart, filling your spirit with all that you need in this moment. If there's anything left that's overflowing, let it flow out through the fingertips. And if there's not, make sure you keep your cup full. It's okay to take that time. In fact, it's essential to take that time for ourselves in order to be the caregivers that we want to be in the world. With your next inhaling breath, gently straighten your front leg. And as you exhale, press your hip out behind you and reach the arm across just as far as feels okay. Float the hand down, rotate your torso so that it's facing the wall. You can keep your hand here on the low back or float it up by the or out of the shoulder into triangle or trikonasana. Soften through the hamstrings of this right leg and lengthen through the spine. Hold for a couple of breaths, pushing into the feet, making sure that back leg is working. And with your next inhaling breath, push into the feet, lift up tall, and float the hands down. Take a breath in and out. And then let's shift our feet. So if you're facing long way like I am, you can just turn the feet, or if you're at the short end of your mat, you want to switch legs. So the left foot is pointing toward the short end of the mat. Right heel is gently dropping back. Hips face the long end of the mat. Let's inhale the arms out at shoulder height. Exhale, bending the left leg. Again, knees stacked over the ankle, walking the toes out a little further if that feels good. Lift the heart, soften the shoulders. Vision over your left hand. Push actively into the feet, connecting down to the earth. Again, breathing up from the earth, whatever you need. It may be that same quality, it may be something different. Breathe it in, filling your heart and spirit. Nurturing yourself in this moment. And if there's anything overflowing, think about someone else you know who needs that same quality in this moment. Send that energy to them. With your next inhale, gently straighten the front leg. Exhale, pressing the hip out behind you and reaching that left arm across the room, floating it down to the leg. Again, hand can stay on the low back or float up toward the sky, rotating that right shoulder and the torso back so that your torso is facing the wall. Lengthen through the spine, soften through the hamstrings of the left leg. Hold and breathe, keeping the legs nice and active. Sometimes that back leg, those quads go, oh, we don't have to work here. So draw that kneecap up, engaging them. And with your next inhale, lift up tall. And exhale, float the hands down. Let's turn our feet to face the long end of the mat. We'll inhale the arms up over the head, lifting the torso above the pelvis. Soften the knees. And as you exhale, swan dive, hips out behind us. And we'll float our hands down underneath the shoulders, bending your knees as much as you need to here. We want to keep the back nice and long. It's okay for the knees to be bent. Think about pushing into your feet, and just like we did when we had our feet together, we're going to lift through the sitting bones, tilting the pelvis, not really worrying about straightening the legs and making sure we're not locking the knees. Back of the neck is nice and long. If it feels okay, you can walk your hands over toward the right leg. Hands on the foot, floor, or leg, turning the torso to face the spine, lengthening down over the leg. And gently coming back to the center and across to the left. Hand on the floor, foot or leg, turning the torso to face the thigh, lengthening down. Pushing into the foot as you lift up through the sitting bones. And then gently coming back to the center. Let's walk the feet closer toward each other. Let's come down, bending the knees, coming to balance on the toes if that feels okay for your knees. You can keep the hips higher if it doesn't feel okay. So you can have the the fingertips on the floor, spreading the toes wide as you root down. You could wrap your arms around the legs, or you could bring the hands to the heart. Finding that focus spot to help you balance. Take a couple of breaths. And then we'll gently lower the rest of the way down. And since we got started a little late, we're running a little behind, so I apologize for that. Let's go ahead and roll down onto your back. Tuck the shoulders under and lift your feet up toward the sky. You can rock your hands underneath the hips, or if you have a block, you can slip that underneath your hips. Lengthen through your neck. Allow the ankles and knees to be soft as you breathe into the belly. We'll gently bend the knees. Rock your hands out from underneath your hips. Hugging the knees in toward the torso, you can gently rock from side to side. And then lowering the feet down, you can walk the feet out to the edges of the mat, resting the knees together. Or if it feels okay for your back, you can extend the legs all the way out. Tucking the shoulders under, have the arms slightly away from the body with the palms turned up. Let the shoulders tuck back and down. Relax the forehead. Soften your eyes. Loosen your jaw. Gently bring your awareness back to the breath. allowing each inhale to fill you with a sense of peace and calm, allowing each exhale to release anything that no longer serves you, releasing it with gratitude for its original purpose, gently letting it go, creating space within you. Let the breath bring you back to your heart center, reconnecting with the light and joy that always reside deep within your heart. Let each breath fill your heart with loving kindness for yourself, sending that loving kindness to each and every cell of your body, honoring all of who you are in this moment. Gently begin to wiggle your fingers and toes. Stretch in whatever way feels comfortable for you. When you're ready, you can gently bend your knees, roll to your side, and rest there for a moment. And then gently return to a seated position. We'll end with a metta blessing of loving kindness. Feel free to repeat after me if you would like. May all beings be safe. May all beings be happy. May all beings be healthy. May all beings have peace. May all beings awaken to the light of their true nature. May all beings be free. The light in me honors the light in you. Namaste. Well, thank you all so much for joining me today.